what's up everybody? This is the most controversial C63 of all time. I remember when the C63, when I was introduced to it, it was a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated, and a few years later then it became the 4 liter V8, which I personally call Big Booty Gang Captain. I loved how it looked. I aspired to own the W205 C63 4 liter twin turbo V8, and a few years later they downgraded again, but this was a massive downgrade. It's a 2 liter 4-cylinder plug-in hybrid now, and my biggest thing is that this should not carry the C63 nameplate. I think it should carry the C45S nameplate. When the 2 liter turbocharged petrol engine that was in the A45 came out, I knew that Mercedes were going to use that for the future of all their projects. Yes, they were going to hybridize it or put some electric power like they have in here. And it's a mental car. I take nothing away from this car. It performs incredibly. It's nauseating quick. However, I don't think it deserves the C63S nameplate. I do think that they could have just dialed it down a bit, maybe C53 or a C45, whatever they wanted to call it. And I think then the audience, as us as lovers, would not have given it so much slack. I mean, with the CLE coming, they've already have a 6-cylinder CLE 53 that's coming. So I think they could have made that their halo model, then downsizing from V8 to even a V6, which is the CLE currently. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about in this review, but I'm going to be doing something differently. We know how it looks. I think we need to focus on performance. So in this review, I am going to show you the exterior, the interior. We're going to do a 0 to 100 test. We're going to do a launch control, and then wrap up with my thoughts. So yeah, don't go anywhere. In terms of exterior looks, I do not think that they've kind of put in a lot of work for it to come out from the C43. I mean, I'll put a picture now of the C43 up for you guys, but you still get this Panamericana grille, which I do quite love a lot. I've seen a lot of people going aftermarket with the Panamericana grille, which is why, I don't know. You've got your AMG badge up here, your 360-degree camera. All these vents are functional because there needs to be a lot of cooling that gets into this engine. Yes, it's a 2 liter, but it needs a lot of cooling to, it needs a lot of cooling into that engine. You've got these digital LED headlights, which are brilliant at night. They do such an amazing job. I've always said they have great lighting at Mercedes. You come to the side, then you've got some really nice piano black elements running across. This massive 20-inch alloy. I'm a huge fan of this alloy. It's aerodynamic. You've got massive rate brake calipers with AMG branding in there, and massive, obviously, brakes because it needs a lot of braking power to stop this car. It's a quick car. Your Turbo E Performance badge on there, and some other functional vents. You come, and then you've got this black wing mirror with an indicator, as well as your 360-degree camera, some black bits that go around, which give it, especially on this white car, it works. The contrast works beautifully. I would appreciate black door handles as well. Not chrome. It's keyless entry into the vehicle. You've got this side skirt as well that runs across, which is in black, which looks really neat. And your fuel cap is on here. You open it inside. I'm not sure how I feel about the looks. Yes, it is longer than a normal C-Class. It's wider than a normal C-Class. Yes, they've tried to make it really bulky, but I still think that W205 has one of the best looks in terms of the C63 nameplates. It looks such beefy. You've got beefier haunches in the rear. This does just not give me that beefier haunches anymore. So yeah, let's show you the rear, and then I'll do the interior before we go for a drive and do that 0 to 60 test. When you come towards the rear, you've got this gorgeous LED tail lights, an AMG badge over there, this boot spoiler, which is extremely gorgeous, especially in this white paintwork, and with it being obviously in piano black, a C63S badge in red. You've got these tailpipes, but so do you see in there, it's actually one exhaust pipe, and in there it's just 2 exhaust tips for 1 exhaust pipes. Then you've got this diffuser. Then on the other side, you've got other 2 sets, but that one is kind of split into 2. Why? I don't know. So I think you have just 3 exhaust pipes. I don't know. But yeah, some really good looking black bits, which I do quite like. And there's not a boot in here, guys, unfortunately, because of that entire battery pack that sits in the rear. That eats up most of the boot space, and also your charging cables sit in here, so that already take some space. So essentially, this is all the space that you're dealing with, which is a bit sucky. You can also just pull on this lever for you to drop the seat there, and if you want to do the other side, you can also do the same, and it lays absolutely flat. You do have some grocery hooks on here should you want to do grocery shopping in a C63, but I'm pretty sure by the time you get home they'll be all over the boot because this thing is quick, guys. So guys, when you jump inside the interior of the Mercedes C63 SE Performance, you are met with a luxurious interior, and as it should be. I do have some qualms when it comes to the interior. Beside this AMG badge right on here, you can't really tell that you're in an AMG. So sorry, besides this AMG badge, as well as obviously the steering wheel with the drive mode selector buttons, you can't really tell that you're in an AMG. And this is where I think it's lost it. Sure, you do have the red leather seat belts, etc., but you do get this also in a C43. So I don't see any AMG specific things. I would have appreciated some AMG plaques on here maybe, or some, even if it's not a plaque, but just some, I'm in a AMG, I'm in the top of the range C-Class, and I don't quite feel that in here. So you've got a really gorgeous looking steering wheel, leather wrapped, and Alcantara as well. It feels really gorgeous, so obviously gets rid of sweat when you are going through a lot, because you will go through a lot. You've got a digital driver's display, which is clear and concise. I've always appreciated how clear and concise these are. You've got various, you can easily change up your drive modes. Sorry, you can easily change up your different displays on here, and I've just been in sport, which looks good. You can also change up your heads-up display and your various how you want them to look, and I think it's really, really gorgeous. But I mean, you can also still get this in the C43. Then you've got obviously the Mercedes-Benz style vents, which are really gorgeous. I can't complain about that. This massive infotainment with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Space in here for your cup holders, and obviously they've got the grippy thingy for you to hold your smaller drinks. 2 Type-C's, USBs. You've got a wireless charger right on there. Space in here, which is massive. Sorry about that. I mean, it is space after all. Massive panoramic sunroof, which is gorgeous. I know I used to complain about these lights a lot from Mercedes-Benz, but somebody explained to me that they are actually LEDs, and they just give this candlelight vibe, which is okay. The seats are heated, but it's an option, and I think that will come in when you do get the other bucket seats. These are the standard seats, and I would have appreciated a much sportier bucket seat. I think that would have made all the difference. That's why I'm saying I think for the starting price of 2.4 million rand, some things should really be standard in this car. A Burmester sound system, which is absolutely brilliant. I have loved each and every moment whenever I do step into the car, but we do not listen to radio or any music in here. We listen to only the pipes. Let me jump into the rear, and then I'll show you that bit before we go for a drive. I promise you we're about to go for a drive. Be patient. At the rear, you've got an insane amount of legroom, to be honest with you. This seat is in my sitting position, but I still have amount of legroom. I think I'm really short, guys, because how do I have so much legroom? But then at the end of the day, this is a longer C-Class as opposed to your normal C-Class. Insane amount of headroom. I think it's really, really ample headroom there. If you are taller, then it should be somewhat nippier, but I am quite impressed with it for myself. Your armrest is here. You press it once, and you've got your phone placeholder right on here. You press it again, then you've got your cup holders, and these do look actually quite fancy. They are rubberized at the bottom to make sure that there's grip on there. These do really look fancy. Wow, they do look fancy. And yeah, you also get red seat belts in the rear, so if your girl says she's in an Uber and you see this, then you also have these climate control settings for people in the rear, as well as their own vents, and extra 2 USB Type-C's right on there. The hump in the middle is quite tall, so it's quite high. So when you do sit on there, you'll essentially be sitting like this. But that's not bad, I guess. That is not bad. That is not bad. Anyway, let us go for a drive, guys. So how does the AMG C63 SE Performance perform? And to be honest with you guys, so as expected, it's got a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 500 kilowatts and 1,020 Newton meters of torque. That is a lot of power for that 2-liter engine. Yes, it's a plug-in hybrid, so you're getting some power from the 6.1 lithium ion battery that's on there. And it does perform it's expected for it to perform really. 0 to 100, 3.4 seconds. And I have done, on my test, I got 3.7 seconds, but that was not at optimum weather. The batteries are not fully charged. It wasn't a proper tailing, but I mean, for 3.7, that's still extremely quick. Now, my biggest gripe on this car, besides the 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, is the fact that I think it's still called a C63. I would have hoped that they kind of ditched that C63 nameplate, went for something else completely different. And I think purists like myself who do love the AMG C63 so much, I mean, I am a huge fan of the W205, then maybe would not have been harsh on it. I think then they could have came up with another model, like I mentioned earlier on, the CLE 53 or the CLE 63 that's yet to be confirmed and come later on. Then that would have been the halo model for that C model. And that's what I personally think, because this car is absolutely brilliant. And I know you guys don't want to hear that it's brilliant, but it's brilliant. And yes, it's a 4-cylinder, but I mean, with so much things that Mercedes had to go through, I mean, I'm pretty sure there were too many laws and they're trying to stay ahead of the curve in terms of, you know, just making sure they've hybridized their engines, their emissions, and all that stuff. But that is where then they could have just then dropped that C63 nameplate. And that's the biggest qualm I have with it. And that's literally it. In comfort, the car drives amazing. You obviously want to drive in comfort for your day-to-day because it's comfort. It takes on the ride, extremely comfortable. There aren't many bumps. And I mean, I'm on a 20-inch alloy here, so you must understand that it's quite tough. But no rattles in the car. There is no squeaks. You're not feeling anything that's coming through your backside or your back or your shoulders or anything. You're really tucked in quite nicely. So that is quite cool. The one thing that I do notice is that there is quite lag. I mean, you do step on it. Only now it reacts. So that's in comfort. But should you want all that massive performance, just slap it into Sport Plus, where I have been, and you get all these rubbles and bubbles, and they sound extremely, extremely nice. Guys, I know it's pumped in, and it sounds amazing. I know that sound is pumped in, yes, but what can we do? That's where the world is going, and I don't want to seem like I'm apologizing for it or making excuses for them, but that's essentially where the world is going. I just wish they dropped that nameplate. In terms of fuel consumption, yes, it's a hybrid, it's a plug-in hybrid. You're doing about 16 liters per 100 kilometers. Well, that's what I'm doing, 16.2 liters per 100 kilometers at the moment. I'm not mad at it. I've gone 485 kilometers on a single tank on here, and that was me really pushing it. I'm on 73 kilometers of range now, and I've done over 480 kilometers of travel distance. So yeah, guys, I am a bit worried that they still kept the C63 nameplate. The car performs brilliantly. You will gap a lot of people in terms of, you know, drag racing, but it all can be about drag racing. Now, where it comes in now, price tag coming at 2.7 million rand, that is where it's a bit steep. And there's still so many other options that are packaged onto here, so it easily comes out to over 2.6 million rand, close to 2.6 million rand on this specific car that I'm driving now. And then you look at the likes of the BMW M5, which is then almost the same starting price, and it's loaded with a lot of stuff, and it's a bigger car, and it still retains obviously that V8, although being a plug-in hybrid. So I don't know if that pricing was all right. I mean, we're hardly seeing these 63s on the road, and when I've been driving around this week, a lot of people have really been noticing me a lot and quite shocked. I mean, I was in the hood the other day, and everybody was just so happy to see a C63. So that is the nice thing, that at least it still retains that status. Where also it's a bit of a miss for me is the fact that it does not look bulkier enough as opposed to W204 or W205 63s, where you could easily differentiate between a C63 and any other model. Right now, this looks like a C43. I mean, if you do, there are some bits and bobs that are changing, like some big boulders and lines on the bonnet, as well as some air vents, but essentially it just looks the same. The C43 just has quad rear circular tailpipes, whereas this has the squared ones, and that's about it in terms of the difference. So I don't know, guys. I mean, the C43 that I had actually had the AMG logo embossed into the headrest, whereas this doesn't have, and I'm just like, but that should be standard because it's an AMG. So yeah, guys, I know I've said a mouthful, but it's a performer. That's what I'll take away from it. It just does not deserve the C63 nameplate for me. And I do know I'll probably get a lot of slack from a lot of people for saying that, but I think rather call it a C45 AMG, and everybody can then forget that the C63 nameplate once existed, and then you come up with your Halo model, which will then be the CLE53. Or they should have put in a V6 in here, and then maybe we would have taken the blow softer. But at the end of the day, this is where we are now. I will not take away from what Mercedes has done here. The engineering is incredible. They've done amazing work. Just the name badge. Don't forget to use the link in my bio, the link in my description, to get a quote from Naked, and you could save you some money on your C63 or your C43 or your CLE using the link in my bio. Thank you so much for always watching. I am on the journey to 10,000 subscribers, and we're almost there, so please don't forget to share this video with the people that you love and everybody else, and then we can obviously drive that engagement and get the 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, and if you're in South Africa, don't forget to always keep left and pass right. Peace out.